The Kyle Busch contract saga is never going to end, it seems like it. And let's be honest with ourselves, when it's all said and done, it ain't going to be Joe Gibbs Racing. I can bet every dollar I got, it ain't going to be Joe Gibbs Racing. At the beginning of this whole contract negotiations, Kyle Busch was his, usual self. Whenever someone asked him a question, he would say, go talk to Joe Gibbs about it. Go talk to him about it. He would always brush it off. But lately, in the recent interviews of Kyle Busch, we've seen a completely different side of Kyle Busch, a much more opening, family-orientated, humble Kyle Busch compared to the usual cocky, all-about-himself version. We heard him talk a lot about his future and his family and his son Brexton, having a place for him, having a place for his team, Kyle Busch Motorsports. It was really weird, and it really kind of put everything into perspective on how uncertain Kyle Busch's future is and how unlikely his future will be with Joe Gibbs Racing.
So thankfully there are opportunities out there. There is, cup jobs available, but it will not look the same as what it has for the last 15 years.
And the fact that he said in his recent interview at Watkins Glen that after 15 years or so, it is going to be completely different next year. The fact that he said that basically all but confirms that, yeah, he ain't going to Joe Gibbs Racing. And another episode of the Door Bumper Clear podcast kind of proved just that.
We know where he's not going to end up. He's not going to end up back in that 18 car.
You don't think when he said this week things are going to look a lot different than they have for the last 15 years? That was pretty much a declaration of I'm out. I think if you're an odds maker, I think the favorite to land Kyle Busch right now is probably Kaulig Racing. Mm-hmm. I think there's two Chevy teams probably at the top of the list, and there's a Toyota team on the outside with a shot at it.
So you think Ford's done?
I think so.
How many people, we've asked this question on here before, how many owners can truly afford to hire Kyle Busch? Penske?
3, maybe 4.
Penske, Hendrick, Haas, Kaulig.
Now, yes, it is not outright confirming it, but let's be honest, those three have a lot of intel on what's going on in the NASCAR garage. And considering the fact that Brett Griffin works for Kaulig Racing, tells me that he may have some more information, may know a lot more than just a random casual Joe like you and I. So yeah, it looks like that out of all the drivers that can afford Kyle Busch, it was going to be either Gene Haas, Hendrick, and Kaulig. Stewart Haas Racing, though, more than likely is not going to go for Kyle Busch. Cole Custer, we've heard that the plan, it is likely to bring him back, and Eric Almirola, although he hasn't said that he is going to come out of retirement, there are rumors that are swirling in that direction that Almirola will return to the 10 car. So that basically leaves Stewart Haas Racing out of the table. So he ain't going to Ford. That leaves Chevrolet and Toyota. The only option would be is Joe Gibbs Racing for 2311 Racing. Remember, Kyle Busch said that he would like to be with his next team that he would be with for the remainder of his career and have everything taken care of, especially with his team, Kyle Busch Motorsports. And I don't think 2311 Racing and Denny Hamlin has the money for that, or at least is willing to do that. Now that leaves 2 Chevrolet teams up for grabs. Kaulig and I don't know who the other team is. We don't know who the other team is. I have said Hendrick, maybe the 48 car with Ally. I don't know. If there's 2 Chevy teams, it ain't JTG. It has to be Kaulig and Hendrick. What other top tier Chevrolet team would want Kyle Busch, or at least is in discussions with Kyle Busch? It has to be Hendrick. But considering Kaulig, I think, is now the new favorite. I think it would be the best option for Kyle Busch. I feel like with Kaulig Racing, it's a new, fresh startup team. They already have a win last year at the Indy Road Course. Matt Kaulig is one of those new young owners on the block that can hopefully help change how NASCAR is, and they have a really good group of guys around that whole team that can do some great things when the pieces are put together. And Matt Kaulig apparently can afford Kyle Busch, and if certainly Kyle Busch were to join that team, they would 120% make him their marquee driver. He would make him the guy, the go-to guy to help steer Kaulig Racing into the right direction. Obviously, with Chevrolet in the mix, it would help a lot with Kyle Busch Motorsports, change into a Chevy Truck Series team and have that be their marquee team. Because when you really think about it, it's like, yeah, they have GMS Racing, but really, Kyle Busch Motorsports in your lineup would do wonders for your developmental team in the Truck Series and then later on in the Xfinity Series. Not only that, but I think it could potentially do something with Kyle Busch and his future if it's Not only that, but I feel like if Kyle Busch goes to Kaulig, and this is a food for thought, this is just a food for thought mindset, could this possibly open to a maybe driver owner role? I mean, think about it. Look at Tony Stewart. When Gene Haas started his own race team, they were horrible. Then Tony Stewart came into the mix in 2009, and they became a championship team. Well, Kyle Busch. Again, Kyle Busch said he wants to have a future. He wants to do something, leave a legacy for his son. Well, I mean, he is going to be in Kyle Busch Motorsports, but as he works up through the ranks, and Brexton could go to the Cup Series, Kaulig Racing could be a spot for him if Kyle Busch is still very connected with that team. And if so, could there be a potential ownership? Kyle Busch did say that he would want to go to a team where he knows that everything's taken care of, basically everything is settled, where he wants to finish his career. Kaulig Racing would do just that. They would give him everything he wants, everything he needs. They have the money, they have the team, they have the potential. I think everything is aligned for Kyle Busch to go to Kaulig. And if they put all the right pieces in place, Kaulig Racing could very well potentially be a championship team maybe in the next couple of years. Who knows? When you're having a driver like Kyle Busch in your lineup, is going to do wonders for your team. But yeah, overall, I think just Kyle Busch being much more open and more focused on the future, and him saying that after 15 years, it's going to be completely different. That basically confirms he's out at Gibbs. And Ty Gibbs, more than likely, is going to replace him. I mean, he's done pretty good in the races he has entered in so far, filling in for Kurt Busch. More than likely, he's going to take over that 18 car in 2023. And Kyle Busch going to Kaulig wouldn't make sense from a developmental standpoint for Kyle Busch Motorsports. It makes sense for his son Brexton, keeping that Busch legacy, at least on his family side, and aligning himself with Kaulig Racing, who has a Cup and an Xfinity Series team, I might add. I think just all the stars are aligning for Kyle Busch, not only for his racing career, but even after his racing career, it would make sense for him to go to Kaulig. So I know I said at the beginning that I feel like Tony Stewart would have been Kyle's only hope and that he would go to Stewart-Haas Racing, but now I feel like we could possibly see Kaulig Racing's number 16 driver be Kyle Busch.